the Trevor Jackson Podcast.
You know, this is getting ready to be a sort of an educational conversation because, you know, Ghana President John Mahama. I got notes for this because, you know, getting up there in age, my memory ain't the best. So, the greatest crime against humanity, the transatlantic slave trade. I seen a lot of people talking about this. I seen a lot of things that I disagreed with also about this. I identify as foundational Black American. You know, when Jesse Jackson and them brothers created African American, I wasn't old enough to be able to agree or disagree with it. I thought that's just what we was because I was a child in the 80s. I come to realize that, you know, they say everything started in Africa. Everything. We're going to get to that here in a few. But my foundation, my lineage is partially American. That's what I identify with. That's what I, you know, accept. What's crazy though is that when I think about all of these conversations and all of these people gravitating towards being FBA or identifying as Pan-African or, you know, different lineages of being Black and things like that, I say we talk about this stuff, but ain't none of us pure. Some of us, all of us have Caucasian in us. It ain't because we wanted to, it's because things happened during that time. But all of us are mixed. At the end of the day, none of us is pure. So it seems like people want to belong to something. They want to be a part of something. They want to belong to or identify with something. Let me play this first clip of Judge Joe Brown talking about the Ghana president and his thought process behind it. I agree with it in totality. But let me go ahead and play it.
Wait, why is Ghana not offering to pay reparations to American blacks since they caught so many of our ancestors and chained them, marched them in long coffles to these slave prisons on the coast, and guarded them while they were getting put on boats to be shipped over here? Why doesn't this hypocrite from Ghana offer to pay reparations?
They contributed. You know, they are complaining that America didn't agree that, you know, the gravest crime against humanity was the transatlantic slave trade, and they want reparations from America. The word from America means from you, American black man. When America hasn't paid reparations to you, do you think these African individuals give a damn about you? Because they didn't give a damn about you when they wanted to obtain things and use you as collateral to get what they wanted and gave you to the slave master. One thing that's interesting to me is that it's systems in this world. Systems don't have morals. Systems don't feel empathy. Systems don't care about right or wrong. Systems don't make ethical decisions. So if you participate in a system such as the capitalist system, are you going to be an empathetic individual? Are you going to be a person with morals? Are you going to care about right or wrong? Because you are contributing to the same system. You are in agreement to the same system that America is up under. Man, let me play the first clip. Let me play it, man. Real talk.
Notable among those that voted against the resolution was the United States. Were you disappointed by that vote? And also, if you can comment on those that abstained, more than 50 nations. How do you feel about those? Thank you.
So I would like to comment on the reasons they gave. They sought to create the impression that the time for negotiations have been short. The president of Ghana served notice last year in September when he delivered his address at the 80th session of the General Assembly. Immediately thereafter, we put together a broad-based coalition, including experts, academics, researchers, historians from all regions of the world. And we commenced negotiations. In the history of the United Nations, this has been a resolution that has gone through so many rounds of consultations. And even the duration for this consultation, each consultation, the standard practice at the UN is that it takes 1.5 hours. We allocated 3 hours, twice the time, and had multiple rounds of negotiations. So there are some that to us, it is clear that even if we gave them 50 years, they would say that the time is not enough. But we can no longer wait. September, we will be commemorating 100 years since the last slavery was abolished. 100 years. And yet there has been no justice. A whole century. So we cannot keep waiting for those who do not want to reckon, who do not want to come to the table with urgency and with acknowledgement that this is a matter that can no longer be swept under the carpet. So we disagree with the notion that there was no time for negotiation.
You know, he talked about justice. And even if we gave them 50 years, to me, I feel like America don't abide by those rules, laws, and regulations. If you want justice, and I say this to my community also, you know, they obtain their power through violence. I'm not an advocate for this. I'm just going to tell y'all. They obtain their power from violence. It's going to take violence to obtain it back. Just a matter of fact. It's going to take violence. I'm not an advocate for that. But that's how they obtain theirs. So how you think you're going to obtain yours? That shit that they talking about, that ain't going to fly, Jack. You can't be participating in the same system we participate in, then ask us to provide from something that happened 5 years ago. That's just real talk. What I want to say is that, you know, Ghana isn't even the original name for that country when that thing was happening in that country. It was called the Gold Coast. And it wasn't called the Gold Coast because of, gold being there. It's because it was the most profitable coast, because you could get people to work for free, labor-free people. It's also a such thing as the global black community. I don't believe in the global black community because all of us are different. I don't believe there's a such thing as a global white community. All white people don't get along. It's different lineages in Africa and they all look alike. They're all the same complexion. You know, just because you black don't mean I'm going to agree with you. I don't even know what black is in the first place. It was something that was created. It's just interesting to think that we would align with these individuals because of a skin complexion and because Jesse Jackson and them brothers created African Americans and tied us together as if they can come and start asking for certain things that we haven't even obtained on our own land ourselves. And to people that say that he is fighting for the diaspora, I don't believe in that shit. I don't believe in the global black community. I just don't. There ain't none of these people even ever bought me a sandwich before. They ain't never looked out for my best interest or care about me when I'm down bad. I don't believe in that. I believe in like-minded individuals. Anything other than that, that's bullshit. Let's get into what, this rat-ass nigga Al Sharpton had to say at the UN talking about Ghana.
From incident to incident. But if we do not deal with the underlying systematic problem, and that is that there are those that feel they have the right and the supremacy over other humans, and they will never be held accountable for it and never pay for it. This resolution is an attendance sheet on what nations stand for what. This is not a new call. I come out of the Martin Luther King School of Thought, but Malcolm X said we may have to go to the UN. One of his main disciples, Dr. James Smalls, is with us. Queen Mother Moore said this. Queen Mother Blakely's here. Sister, I don't come with others that have not. Sister Salam. These are people that have been in the streets for decades. And State Senator Sanders, all of us, but many of them preceding me. The question is not what the people feel. The people have stated their feelings and will continue to and must galvanize. The question is, what do nations stand for? When I hear nations saying they're going to abstain from a vote, how do you abstain from being a racist and a bigot? How do you abstain from paying your debt to people that you worked for centuries and never paid? How do you abstain from the guilt and the blood that's on your hands while you deposit money in banks that your forefathers didn't earn and our forefathers worked and never got paid?
You know, I'm an advocate for reparations. Some of my most highest viewed content is me talking about reparations. I'm an advocate for reparations to us, specifically to the people. I don't want no politicians in power saying what we got to do with it or where to divvy it up at. I don't like that aspect. It's supposed to go directly to the people. Like those stimulus checks. If it's a such thing as reparations, that money need to get divvied up just like those stimulus checks got divvied up. $2,000 a piece. If you're going to give everybody, if everybody come to agreement $1 million a piece enough, then everybody need a direct deposit from the government to those finances. You know, he said underlying systematic problem. We just talked about the system that people contribute to, the capitalist system that he benefits from. He's a rat. He is a rat. That's a rat sitting up there talking about the black community and what we need to do and what we need to boycott and if these countries don't align with us, they're bigots and racist and they're contributing to a system that empowers them and it don't empowers you. They view themselves as powerful. You got to take it. Everything, it has to be taken. It ain't nothing that's going to ever be given to you. When the last time somebody gave you something? Listening to, you know, this pastor, Al Sharpton, who is churchless, speak the way he speaks, is blasphemous to me. Let's get into this article, man, before I crash out, man. UN resolution urges reparations for slavery, historical wrongs. So the resolution spearheaded by Ghana's received 123 votes in favor. 3 countries, Argentina, Israel, and the United States, voted against, and 52 abstained. Today we come together in solemn solidarity to affirm truth and pursue a right to healing or reparative justice, said Ghana's president, John Mahama, speaking ahead of the vote on behalf of the 54-member African group, the largest regional bloc at the UN. So he says stolen, shackled, and shipped. I want to read it first because that struck a nerve with me. Stolen. That word has been catching me off guard a lot lately when I talk about slavery and crimes and things that happen to us, because we like to think that when you steal something, you sneaking and doing it. You sneaking and hiding and doing it. When something is taken from you, they blatantly doing it in your face and they don't care if you see it. So stolen is striking me right now. For more than 400 years, millions of people were stolen from Africa, put in shackles, and shipped to the New World to toil in cotton fields and sugar and coffee plantations under scorching heat and the crack of the whip. denied their basic humanity and even their own names, they were forced to endure generations of exploitation with repercussions that reverberate today, including persistent anti-black racism and discrimination. The resolution emphasized the trafficking of enslaved Africans and radicalized chattel enslavement of Africans as the gravest crime against humanity, by reason of the definitive break in world history, scale, duration, systematic nature, brutality, and enduring consequences that continue to structure the lives of all people through radicalized regimes of labor, property, and capital. Okay. You know, what tribe in Africa? If they're going to put this down, be more specific. Who, what, don't talk about black and white. I don't want to hear nothing about black because y'all don't identify as black over there. Y'all identify as y'all lineage. Y'all identify with y'all tribe. Y'all don't identify with black. What tribe is y'all talking about? What people? I feel like this is something that they speaking about that is not them taking accountability for their actions, because they said millions of people were stolen from Africa, put in shackles, and shipped to the New World to toil in cotton fields and sugar and coffee plantations under scorching heat and the crack of the whip. Stolen. They didn't sneak and do it. Somebody participated in this. They wasn't sneaking late at night grabbing Africans for 300 years, putting them on boats. Somebody was contributing to this. It was somebody contributing to this system to allow this to happen. That's just my take. Put in shackles and shipped to the New World. Let me continue to read, man. There are spirits of the victims of slavery present in this room at this moment, and they are listening for one word only: justice. Esther Phillips, first poet laureate of Barbados. You know, that quote right there, that quotation, she said, there are spirits of victims. I'm not one of those. And the people who feel as if they are victims, we need to stop identifying as victims and stop expecting justice. If you want justice, you got to take it. Ain't nothing going to be gave to you. It never has been. It's been 500 years. Ain't no justice been gave, and it'll never be given. 5 generations have died, and y'all still expecting these people to do what they said. Man, I ain't that stupid. And I'm not a victim. So addressing wrongs, support reparations. It affirmed the importance of addressing historical wrongs affecting Africans and people of the diaspora in a manner that promotes justice, human rights, dignity, and healing, while emphasizing that claims of reparations represent a concrete step towards remedy. The text was highly problematic in countless aspects. Ambassador Dan Negri, U.S. representative to the UN Economic and Social Council, said prior to the vote, he regretted that Washington must once again remind this body that the United Nations exists to maintain internal peace and security, and was not founded to advance narrow specific interests and agendas to establish niche international days or to create new costly meetings and reporting mandates. Furthermore, the U.S. does not recognize a legal right to reparations for historical wrongs that were not illegal under international law at the time they occurred. A grave human rights violation. The horrors of slavery echoed in the General Assembly Hall as member states commemorated the International Day to remember its victims. The slave trade and slavery stand among the gravest violations of human rights in human history, an affront to the very principles enshrined in the character of our United Nations and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, themselves born in part from the injustices of the past, said Assembly President, I can't pronounce that name. You know, this article is kind of long. I'm not going to continue to read it. It is on the United Nations. I'm going to tell y'all exactly what it is. The story is UN resolution urges reparations for slavery's historical wrongs. I feel like, you know, whatever the U.S. contribute to that should go specifically to the people that is in their nation. You know, the foundational Black Americans have been done wrong. and before the people that came over here on ships receive reparations, the foundational people should receive reparations. And I want to play this clip before we further along in the conversation.
Muslims to this day are enslaving black people in Africa. It was Muslims are the reason why we blacks are here in America today. Not because of what Christians, white people did to us.
Weren't those slave traders white men from Europe?
No, they were Muslims.
Arab slave
blacks
traders.
And Muslims. The slave trade was going on long before white people, Christians or Jews even showed up. In fact, from 700 AD, from what I can research, go Google stuff up. 18 million blacks were taken out of Africa into the eastern parts of Arabia and the east and so forth and so on. 18 million, whereas the whites and Christians bought about 13 million from the black and Muslim slave traders in the continent, the West African slave trade. But you never hear about that. You never hear that part. All you hear is what white Christians and Jews did. The fault of white Christians and Jews is that they disobeyed the Torah. And for the love of money to make profit, they abandoned what they had forsaken in Europe and took on the curse of Africa by buying slaves. But they did not capture it. In fact, Henry Louis Gates has a new book. And apparently he is saying, something I've been saying, that over 90% of the slave trade in West Africa was black people and Muslims, not white people. Only 10% was whites. And so you don't hear that kind of talk. But it's going to have to come out now with all this media and information sharing. Everybody now can look in everybody's backyard. We can no longer hide the fact that Muslims are the primary reason why West Africans are in the United States.
Became slaves.
And not in the United States, but in Mexico, Central America, South America. 94% of the slave trade that the Muslims sold went into Mexico, Central America, and South America. Only 6% of the Muslim slave trade came into North America, which then the white Christians and Jews fought each other over this issue and ended the African curse upon us black people. And we're free now. We were never free.
As a result of who?
Of white people. White Christians and Jews. The Civil War. The abolition movement. All of that America struggled with over the existence of slaves in this country. America, the United States did not start slavery. That's a misnomer.
Yeah.
The United States inherited the slavery from the British in 1776. The British did not start it. They bought it from Africa.
Right.
You know, I'm about to get up off of this topic after I give my take. This is very interesting to me. I'm going to have to do more research and get a better understanding, like a historical research before slavery. If anybody is watching this that can lead me in the direction of where I can get books that talks about things before slavery, because it seems like the existence of us starts at slavery. And that's not true. Now, one thing I want to say in closing is that only 400,000 people, historically written, made it to the United States. And I'm grateful that I'm one of them because I love my country, to be honest. I love this land. I love life in general. Why did those other 12 million people go? If 12.5 million people were slaves and 400,000 of them, you know, only made it to the United States, why do they have an expectancy for the United States to give reparations? The majority, they have an expectancy for the United States to give the majority of reparations when they received the least amount of slaves. You know, I know some people probably disagree with me, but instead of being disgruntled about the conversation, educate me so I can change my perspective. Real talk. I appreciate y'all tuning in to this segment of the show. Let's further the conversation in the comment section below. I'm about to switch the topic up, though. I appreciate y'all, man.
The Trevor Jackson Podcast.